Today on Golf Talk, we'll be answering the question, what are we doing outside? The benefits of pro fitting for your clubs, maintenance updates, and much more. Welcome to Golf Talk. I'm your host, Pat White. Joining us today is Flenniken, Director of Golf, Wells McClure, Director of Course Maintenance. And a question straight to these two gentlemen, what's going on around here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's our all-vendor demo day. To me, this is kind of the start of golf season. You see, we've got 5 major brands in golf. You've got Ping, Callaway, Titleist, TaylorMade, and Cobra here. Our patrons, our members, and even some outside guests are here today. We've had different people make scheduling appointments, or they're just walking in, but they want to try some new stuff. What's the latest and greatest in golf? I think it's important that you know that technology evolves in everything we do, and that includes golf. Most companies are coming out with a new driver every 2 years, a new fairway wood every 2 years, wedges. So we're trying to make sure that our players have the opportunity to see what's the latest and greatest and upgrade for their games.
So what does it do for the golfer to upgrade your clubs? Now, I'll give you my example in a little bit. I was going to say. Okay.
Yeah, I think that not only just the club head, but the shaft, right? The shaft might be the most important part of the game for the player, especially in Tellico Village. You're starting to see some slower swing speeds as our players age. And so we want to see that golf ball launch up in the air with minimal spin to see it go a little bit further for the enjoyment of our games.
And that's what happened to me. I didn't want to face the fact I was turning 72 years old.
Yep.
The distance was going away. The dispersion was increasing.
Yep.
And I sat down there with the Callaway rep last year. My game came back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I found out I started playing senior shafts.
Yep.
And it hurts your feelings. But why are we doing this? And is it good for us?
Yeah, absolutely. What were you playing before that? A steel?
Stiff
steel to senior graphite?
Yeah.
It's a big jump. And so anytime if we can get you 1 more mile per hour of club head speed, that's about 3 to 3.5 yards. So if we can get you 5 miles an hour club head speed, you're looking at 15, 18 yards.
Yeah.
So I think that's a no-brainer.
Well, I know you say you hit a 7-iron, 200 yards?
No, 7-iron, 180.
Okay, so I got mine back to about 160.
Yeah, good. That's great.
Yeah.
At 72?
Yeah.
I'd kill to have that at 72. It's great.
Well, you'll get the opportunity.
I hope so.
Next question to Wells. So how's the aeration going? We just finished. It's beginning to grow back. Had a little rain, a little cold snap. What's going on?
Yeah, we're now 4 weeks, 3 weeks, and 2 weeks post-aerification at Kahidi, Toqua, and Tanasi. It was really a phenomenal year for aerification. We got through it. No major breakdowns. Everybody worked great together. Our teams came together and got a lot done in those few weeks. But the weather is really what's helped us this spring. On average, we've been really since the end of February, beginning of March, we've been 4 to 6 degrees above average soil temperature, which is why you see so much green Bermuda grass on the golf courses right now, and our greens are responding. Toqua and Kahidi had really good weeks with really warm weather, and then if you remember correctly, the night of the 17th and the 18th of March, which was Tanasi's aeration, we had 2 days of frost in a row, and our soil temperatures dipped back down into the upper 40s. So that kind of hurt our Bermuda grass that had greened up already, and it kind of set it back, and as temperatures came back up, it started to recover from that frost. Our greens started growing again, and in fact I know today and yesterday were a little chilly, but earlier in the week we were up at 62 degrees soil temperature, and the average is like 54 this time of year. So if we can keep that trend, it's going to be a really good spring. I expect our greens to heal within the next few weeks, and by the first of May they should all be really good.
Yeah. Well, having played the 3 courses in the last 10 days, I would guess that you did aerification in the order of Kahidi was first.
Correct.
Toqua second.
Yes, sir.
And it's still rather bumpy at Tanasi.
It is. We had that cold weather, so we actually ended up waiting. I think Kahidi and Toqua both mowed 10 days, 9 to 10 days post aeration. They do the heavy top dressing, and they had enough growth in those 9 or 10 days to go ahead and mow. And in Tanasi, we waited 14, so we didn't actually mow at Tanasi again until this past Monday. We mowed again Wednesday, dropped the height of cut, and mowed again today. We'll drop the height of cut and mow Monday, a little bit more sand. And so it's just like a balancing act. You need to put more sand on, but you got to get a good cut with your mowers. So as you drop the height of cut, you got to lay off the sand until you can kind of put a little bit more on and let
Well,
it
Nick,
smooth out.
He's giving you a high-level way of saying it's a necessary evil.
Yes,
right?
it
And
is.
yes,
You gotta do it.
tenacity
Yeah.
is still bumpy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
So the next question is, I heard, and I don't remember where, so this is why I want to ask today. We're going to do some green reclaiming, is what it's called, or what is it at Kahidi?
Yep. So when Kahidi was originally designed, the greens were designed to be about 20. I think I checked with Jordan, about 22,000 square feet larger than they are. And a lot of it is Bermuda grass encroachment. Some of it is years prior, probably 2013 or 14. If they lost a little bit of grass around the edge of the greens at Kahidi, sometimes they would put Bermuda grass back in rather than continue to struggle with the bent grass edge. So as you do that over time, greens shrink and shrink and shrink. And Jordan actually went around last spring, I guess, and found all the original greens edges with the probe and found where the greens mix is. And he estimated, I believe it's about 22,000 square feet that we are going to expand. We're going to attempt to do this in-house. If we were to contract it out, it would basically double the cost of the project.
Yep.
And this is something that Jordan's team has done on a small scale. You know, they've done little sections, 2 to 4 feet wide in a couple short runs. And we feel like with the right equipment and right manpower, we can at least attempt to start and try to figure it out and do the best we can. And again, it's going to save $150,000 to $200,000 if we can do this project in-house. It'll take some time, and that's the benefit you get of hiring a contractor. Yeah, you're going to pay twice as much, but they're going to knock it out over an off season, over a winter.
Yep.
In Tellico Village, there's really not an off season here. We stay pretty busy, so we feel like we can try to make an impact in-house. And so we're going to do 11 and 16 greens this fall.
So without drawing white lines around an unplayable lie, which this is going to generate,
Yep.
what are the rules?
Yeah, so we'll probably adopt a local rule there, Pat. If your ball's on the green, or you happen to be standing in one of those areas that's being replaced, then we'll move you to a nearest point. It might be a little bit closer to the hole, but on the green. I don't think it's fair to make a player whose ball would have been on the green have to go back and probably in that case have to chip, right? And you probably lose a stroke doing that, if I'm being honest. So we'll, as a golf advisory committee, sit together and figure out the best plan possible to make sure everything's fair.
Yeah, and we feel like the recovery time is going to be, the sod is coming in cut really thin. The surface will be perfect when we put it down, so it won't be quite the same height of cut as the green, but it'll still be quite playable. And,
good.
And our plan is to start at the beginning of November and be done before the end of the year.
I have a question for both of you guys. Now, both of you work really hard to keep the courses up. You work really hard to maintain it, to make changes, to make our golfing experience fabulous.
Yep.
But what can we do as golfers to be better stewards of the golf course? Let me go to Wells first.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the time of year you can really see our traffic patterns, our traffic areas where people enter and exit the fairway, maybe a bottleneck where people tend to drive. And you can really notice it this time of year because you may be driving down the cart path, and before you get to the green stake, it's at Toqua and Tenacity, it's nice and green grass, and then right after that green stake, you can tell it's a little beat down. And that's just where the grass just can't recover this time of year. It can't recover to the traffic. So we try to do our best to move traffic controls as we can. But again, it's that time of the year, Pat, for your favorite saying, if it's brown, go around.
Yep.
So he just put that earworm back in my ear.
It's back in there. So cart traffic is one way. Repairing ball marks is especially important this time of year. Post aeration in the spring is kind of when, our greens are perfectly smooth because we put enough sand on them to kind of start from scratch. And every unrepaired ball mark just goes back into taking care of the golf course, and the more unrepaired ball marks you have, the bumpier the greens will be, and just again, this time of year things take a while to recover.
Okay, Casey?
Yeah, to harp on the ball marks, I think that we talked about swing speeds, right? A lot of our players are entering par 3s, par 4s, and maybe even par 5s with longer clubs, meaning hybrids, long irons, fairway woods. So they're going to have a lower flight of trajectory coming in there, and so a lot of times they might hit on the front third of the green and their ball went over the back of the green. So they go to chip, and you're not thinking about your ball mark when you're going to chip. So I'm not sure that all of it is necessarily on purpose, right? Out of just laziness or I don't want to do it. Okay, I think that's half of it. And then the other half is when you fix yours, fix another one, right? Fix 2, fix 3. I know for me personally, before I hit a putt, I always clean my golf ball. I don't want any mud on it because it's going to roll better end over end. And number two, I fix every single ball mark on my way to me in the hole because I know if it hits that ball mark, it's going to stray from the path I want it to go on.
Here's a question. How did you pick up on doing that? I almost asked you a question.
I think the competitive juices start flowing, and you get tired of hitting a ball mark, and it kicks it offline, and you say, all I had to do is bend over and fix it. And so you start doing that, and all of a sudden you're fixing 6 or 7 every time you putt.
Yeah.
And then you develop a habit, correct?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Isn't that the point?
Yep.
Making putts is pretty fun.
You get out of a cart with a sand bottle.
Yeah.
You walk onto a green with a repair tool.
That's right.
It's not asking anything more, is it? It's just getting in a habit of doing something.
It's just a habit of doing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of players may just not know how to do it.
So let's get into healing, Wells. If I have a ball mark and I leave it and it sits there all day and it dries out, does it take longer to heal back?
It certainly does. You know, an unrepaired ball mark can take, in the growing season, could take 14 to 21 days to totally disappear. A properly repaired ball mark won't be noticeable 24 to 48 hours afterwards. You know, and one thing that I'll always try to do, especially if a shot's coming in with some angle, you know, it toughs up behind it, right? And then you can take your putter, and I always try to kind of work that tough back towards the center, and then work back towards the center all the way around the ball mark. And, you know, ideally, you almost can't notice it when you're done.
I think I heard somebody say, a pro one time say, attempt to not have any dirt showing.
Right. Try to put the grass back. And you know, I heard you say something about sand bottles earlier, and I'll just give a shout out. I'm most of the time at Tenacity day to day in the mornings, and we have been filling the sand bucket at the starter shack and the cart barn. It seems like more than we have in the past few months, and that's probably because we're off the paths a little more and people are using the sand bottles. So kudos to the community that's really kind of taken that to heart, and just always remember to smooth that out, because you know, as we start to mow, we don't want to run through piles of sand.
I wanted to bring that up because there are a lot of people, a lot of golfers out of the 117,000 last year. Is that what we had? 118,000. I'd say the vast majority do the right thing. And are great stewards of the course. This is not to criticize anybody. It's to get us back into the habit of doing the right thing, because we're all about to come out and play again. Anything you want to add?
Just keep doing what we're doing and supporting us and doing what you can to take care of the golf course, and it'll show off this summer for sure.
Question to Wells. We talked about the greens earlier and what you're doing. Tell us about what's going on with the rest of the course updates. We've got some markers for the tees at Kahidi. I've seen some stairways being removed.
That's right.
What are you doing?
All 3 courses have a lot going on right now. Just to highlight Kahidi, Jordan and those guys, they rebuilt a nursery green here recently. They did that out of aeration cores, and it was a big process. We did the same thing at Tenacity. Our nurseries over time get some Bermuda contamination, so every few years. I think it's been 5 or 6 years since we did the one at Tenacity, but we've rebuilt those. Kahidi is also in the process of continuing their hole sign replacements. We've got a similar hole sign on order from a local supplier here in the area. It's a process to get those in, you know, a lot of concrete and digging and mounting and all that. But they look fantastic. Jordan's team kind of found that design and ran with it, and it looks awesome. Another big CI savings. If they bought a similar sign prefab, it would be a bit more expensive. And then Toqua just recently finished adding some irrigation on hole 2. So I know there's a lot of trees at Toqua, we all know that, and a lot of areas under trees at Toqua that have historically been mulch, like 18 last year. Sometimes you don't have much of an option other than mulch because it's either dirt or mulch. The grass won't grow. But Toqua did an experimental project last year on 18, sodded it with zoysia after they added irrigation. It turned out great. So they're going to do the same thing on hole 2. They've gotten all the irrigation in, and we've actually got 18 pallets of sod coming. It was supposed to come the week of Masters week. You know, I know this won't come out for a little bit, but it looks like rain some of that week of the Masters, so we're going to have a big sod party at Toqua one of these weeks, either the first or second week of April. And then at Tenacity, you know, we've done the same thing with the nursery green, and we've something that's been on the list for a little while, but there were stairs on hole 14 and 16 at Tenacity, railroad tie stairs. I was never a huge fan of them. I always kind of thought, why do we have stairs? You know, I mean, there's no stairs on hole 7 at Tenacity. There's other steeper areas around the golf course. We don't require stairs. So I just think it's a bit of an eyesore. So our thought was to remove the stairs, and rather than replace them with more railroad tie stairs or a stone step that concentrates our traffic, we'll just kind of smooth it out, grade it, put down grass, and hopefully help spread the traffic going onto those greens as well. Course update wise, again, we spoke earlier about how much warmer the soil temperatures are this year. It doesn't feel like it today because it's 48 and cloudy, but no, we're a couple weeks ahead of schedule from where we were last year. So
very good. Yep.
Hopefully we get a little bit of rain this week, no frost this weekend, and I think we're going to be in shape for a really good spring. This is probably the least amount of sod work repair that we've had around greens, especially I know at Tenassie and Toqua in quite some time. Really at Tenassie, I don't think there's much any. I mean, maybe a little bit on 11, a little bit on 15, back left to 14 where we have shade and traffic problems, but very minimal. So
which is amazing. We had 8 inches of snow.
And
that's closed for 10 days. That snow cover,
the snow cover, yeah. If we didn't have that snow cover with, I think it got down to 4 or 5 degrees and below freezing for a few days, it'd be a different story. Yep. So, you know, next year if you're snowed in again, it may be a pain, but at least you know the golf courses are benefiting from it.
So last year we had some videos on what you guys do during the dark.
Absolutely.
And I think you have one more. Could you introduce that to us?
We do, yeah. Last year we filmed this video at Kahidi. It kind of gives you an idea of what our typical summer days are going to be like, really starting in May. So just check it out. And here's Jordan, Josh, and the guys at Kahidi getting it done.
When golfers arrive at the course, they don't always appreciate the complex coordination of tasks that goes into getting the course ready for play. It's a race against the clock. During the main crew meeting, the manager assigns the various jobs to be completed that day. If there are any special events or a shotgun start, the time frame for completing routine tasks needs to be compressed. First impressions are an important part of a golfer's experience, so work always begins at the practice green and the clubhouse area. It is imperative that the crew stay ahead of play. If golfers catch up, the crew gets further delayed. As soon as the front 9 is completed, it's time to get to work on the back 9. When the main course is completed, the afternoon is dedicated to a variety of detail work. System repairs and projects outside the main areas of play can also be completed. As the day draws to a close, managers conduct quality control checks while equipment maintenance is performed. The day always ends with planning because tomorrow they get to do it all over again. Golf course maintenance involves complex logistics and teamwork to provide the best possible playing conditions every day.
We appreciate you bringing that video. It's always interesting to see what you guys are doing in the mornings. And Casey, how about updating us on the golf calendar?
Yeah, absolutely. We're rolling now, right? We've got all golf leagues started. So outside of just our normal golf leagues, our men's and women's and our couples and social events, we'll have April 13th, it's a Saturday here at Toqua, will be our beautification event. It's a superintendent's revenge, so Wells and John and their team, you'll see some interesting things out there, some hole locations, some hoses, maybe a couple of maintenance vehicles parked here and there. It's really fun. I've seen some funny stuff in that event. It's a great chance for us to raise some funds for the beautification of all 3 of our golf courses. You'll have opportunities to donate outside of just that event in the golf shop, kind of run a beautification week, if you will.
It's a silent auction too, isn't it?
There is a silent auction, Pat. Are you anything in there from you?
2 things.
That's what I thought.
I have a gourmet dinner cruise that we put on, I think, the last 5 years, Alice and I.
Yep.
And I have a guitar.
Oh, yeah, the guitar is in there. You told me about that.
Yeah,
very
nice
neat
guitar. She picked it up yesterday.
Awesome.
Nice.
So we look forward to that. And then April 20th, as we talked about last episode, we'll have our Timeless Tellico Gala at the Yacht Club, and that'll benefit the forward-thinking vision of the Tenassie practice amenity. It's a world-class golf course. We want a world-class practice facility to match it. So we're hoping to get the ball rolling at that gala and get a lot of people on board. We're excited to kind of reveal the plans for that. We got some color images of what that'll look like, and Wells and I have worked hard on that for over a year now, and we're excited to see that start to come to fruition. So, and then the following weekend will be April 27th and 28th is the Senior and the Super Senior Club Championship. It's hosted here at Toqua and at Tenassie. So it's a 2-day event. There'll be 90 to 100 players. and then we'll do the same thing in May. We'll go again.
That sign-up's on Chelsea, isn't it?
That sign-up is on Chelsea. Okay. That's right. The beautification event, you got to sign up here at Toqua in the golf shop, and the Super Senior and the Senior Club Championship, you got to sign up on Chelsea.
Okay. During this interview process today, this episode of Golf Talk, we've talked a number of times about the Golf Advisory Committee, or mentioned or suggested. What are they? Who are they? What do they do? How do you interact with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you, I believe that you've got the president of that is going to be Howard Higbee.
Yep.
The vice president is going to be Ron Coles. Secretary is Mark Tudor. And you've got Beverly Blessing, Carla Johnson, Joe Beal, and Rose Howard.
Yep.
Those are the 7 members of the Golf Advisory Committee. So we meet the second Monday of each month at 3:30. And you'll see that if there's ever a change, then we put it in the telegram. Our next meeting is actually on Tuesday, April 23rd at 3:30 due to some conflicts that we had this month. But they're volunteers, they're community members that we went through an interview process to select them onto the committee. And Wells and I mean, we bounce ideas off of each other. Wells, do you think this is crazy? Casey, do you think this is crazy? And then we'll take it to Golf Advisory and see if they think it's crazy, right? And sometimes they say, you guys are crazy, or it's a great idea, right? And so when it's budget time, what are our goals? What are our plans? Are we changing anything? And they kind of help us in every facet of our jobs. I know for you, I'll let you speak on that, where they help you in the maintenance world.
Yeah, I mean, they look at it, sometimes some of the decisions we make, we're focused on maintenance and maintaining the golf course. And I think the Golf Advisory Committee helps keep things kind of reeled in a little bit. Yeah. For instance, I know this was years ago, but we were taking all these areas out of maintenance, putting in natural areas, tall grass areas. And it's real easy to think, why do we mow that? It's out of the way, and then you get to talk to folks on the Golf Advisory Committee, and they put in their 2 cents, depending on what tee they play and how it could affect the golf game. So yeah, like Casey said, I mean, their input is invaluable and definitely is a huge part of the decisions that we make.
Well, both, you kind of talked about, you bounce ideas off of him, he bounces, is this crazy? They bounce that same idea off of you, don't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I know I talk to a Golf Advisory Committee member probably every day. It might be a different one, but they kind of our ears within the village. They've got a vested interest. They live here. So we ask them to be upfront and honest with what they think, what their opinions are, what they hear from their different groups. We try to pick people that play in different groups, different leagues, so you get all kinds of. It's a good mix of people. It's not just 3 people from one group. Right. So we really value their opinion, and we're appreciative of what they do.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us this month for Golf Talk. We hope you go out this month and have fun. You play lots of rounds, and you're very safe, and we hope you join us next month. Hey, how you doing? I can't come over and hug you, buddy. I know real bad. Anything to get out of this chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome.